ball up in pain. It was as if I had rigor mortis, like I would become stiff and just in pain, unable to move, and just rigid with this stabbing pain, just the pins and the needles and the stabbing, and it would be sudden pain and sudden sharp pains in particular areas of my, well, in all my joints, like I remember my arms would have that sudden, and I would know, well, the thing is, when I was younger, I didn't know straight away that meant I was going to have a pain crisis. But what would happen is I would be, just normal, everything would be fine. And then all of a sudden I would get this sharp pain in the crease of my arm, in my elbow, like, the inside of my arm area. It would be a sharp stabbing pain. And it would be debilitating for a couple of seconds. And I would be like, oh gosh, what's that? But I wouldn't know I didn't understand how my body was working. I didn't know that was a signal. So I would just, momentarily be a bit stunned by it. And then I would continue on, you're a kid, so I'd probably continue playing or whatever. And then it would come again. And then it would become more frequent. It would come. I can only describe it as birthing pains. It would happen all of a sudden, and then between contractions it would get frequent and more frequent and more frequent and more frequent until it would just be a deluge of pain all over my body. And then I would no longer be able to be going around running anywhere or playing or anything. I would be on the floor, on the bed, wherever I landed, and I would be screaming in excruciating pain. So that was how for a certain period of time, that was how my pain crisis would present itself. And then, it would always end in hospitalization. And I remember when I was younger, between, like, especially when I came back to the UK. So from that, I think we came, because we were in Nigeria for about 2 years, I think. So I think I came back when I was about 4, maybe going on 5. So between the age of like 4 to about 10, without fail, every year before Christmas, but Christmas time, right, like in December, I would be in hospital. So I would probably start going through those cycles of pain and aches and things like that. When it starts to get cold. I'm a September baby, and I think back then, now we seem to have longer summers, but I think back then, by September it's getting chilly. By October, right, it's cold. By November, it's like, okay. I remember my grandma would, because I was with my grandma, and living with my grandma, at that time. And she would, around that time of year, when it would get to about November time, she would bandage my arms as a protective layer underneath my clothes. So she would not the stiff bandages, the ones that are quite sort of elasticated, so to still allow for movement. But she would bandage my arms and maybe sometimes my legs, and then put my layer of clothing on, so just to give extra sort of insulation and warmth. Bless her heart. I mean, it would work, I guess, for as long as it would work for, but really, it would get to like the end of November, December, and bang, I would be in hospital for about 2 weeks, and probably come out a day or so before Christmas. Like, that's how it was, always touch and go, how close. I think there was times when I did spend like some Christmas days in the actual hospital as well, and come out maybe just after, like maybe on Boxing Day. And then what I began to notice was, as I got older, it would present differently. And that was a bit of a mind boggle as well. And I didn't catch on again until late. So I would become accustomed to a certain way of the pain crisis presenting itself. And then what would happen is maybe a few years later, I would be having some pain somewhere and not know that it's sickle pain, thinking it was something else, thinking, oh, my arm's just aching or my foot's just aching or something, and not know, because what I would be expecting the stabbing pain or whatever, or the shooting pains, and it wouldn't be that. It could just be a dull ache. It could just be a dull ache somewhere, but then it would progressively get worse and worse and worse until that particular area of my body would feel like it's about to explode. And then I would have to like contact the doctors or the hospital, what's going on. And then it would become apparent that, oh no, this is sickle cell. This is another way that it's presenting. So yeah, that's sickle cell anemia from the NHS definition, and also my definition. And I think as we continue in these episodes, we'll just discuss how sickle cell has presented at different stages of my life. I've just given you an example, and like the different symptoms and how they've presented at different times also. Oh, I can't wait to tell you the story about the leg ulcers. The leg ulcers. See, again as well, that's something that I never really understood to be sickle cell related. In fact, I didn't even understand the whole leg ulcer thing until I was adult, like straight up adult, like old woman adult. It didn't even clock. But yeah, join me next time for some more interesting sickle cell stories. I hope this has been informative. I hope this has been helpful to anybody. And you have been listening to the S Word. I will see you soon.